Good evening and thank you for staying with us right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. This is a World News at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. First off, the top stories. Police, U.S. Secret Service, FBI arrest suspects in Nigeria over fraud. Nigerian government reopens 47 unity schools. Senate confirms 64 career, non-career ambassadorial appointments. Also, the federal government has indicated its interest with Kara Assembly suspending members for exposing details of closed-door meeting. Court grants Chris Ngige bail in alleged fraud case, orders ex-minister to submit travel documents. President Tinubu's delegation 11 released Nigerian Air Force personnel expected back in Nigeria today. Late Muhammadu Buhari's daughter reveals Buhari knew Nigerians were not happy with his leadership. Governor Fubara boasts he has a strong structure to back Tinubu ahead of 2027. Bishop Hassan Kuka visits Nnamdi Kanu in Sokoto prison. And Maxwell, Opara, Nnamdi Kanu's legal consultant, exposes that the Kenyan government wanted to burn Nnamdi Kanu alive in a car. Details now. The news begins with the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center, NPF NCCC, in collaboration with the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation and the U.S. Secret Service, arresting 3 high-profile internet fraud suspects in Lagos and Edo State. The suspects were allegedly involved in targeted cyber attacks against the email systems of major corporate organizations, mostly in Nigeria. The Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Benjamin Hunde, who disclosed this in a statement today, said the suspects carry out the crimes through the deployment of phishing links and malicious software. The statement noted that the arrest followed credible and actionable intelligence received from Microsoft Corporation, FBI, which revealed the use of a sophisticated phishing toolkit known as Raccoon 0365. The Force PRO said the toolkit was designed to create fraudulent Microsoft login portals aimed at harvesting user credentials and unlawfully accessing the email platforms of corporate, financial, and educational institutions. Further investigations identified Okitipe Samuel, also known as Raccoon 0365, and Moses Felix as the principal suspect and developer of phishing infrastructure. Investigations revealed that he targeted a Telegram channel through which phishing links were sold in exchange for cryptocurrency and hosted foreign login portals on Cloudflare using stolen or fraudulently obtained email credentials. Notably, investigations revealed no evidence linking the 2 other arrested individuals to the creation or operation of the phishing scheme. The Nigerian Police Force reaffirms its steadfast commitment to safeguarding Nigeria's digital space through the deployment of advanced technology, strengthened international partnerships, and diligent investigative and prosecutorial processes aimed at effectively countering evolving cyber threats. Now, the federal government has announced the reopening of the 47 unity schools across the country earlier shut down over security concerns. The Ministry of Education made this announcement in a statement today. The statement noted that the decision to reopen the affected colleges reaffirmed the unwavering commitment of the federal government to safeguard students and ensure the continuity of education. It assured parents, guardians, and the general public that the safety, welfare, and well-being of students remain a top priority. The ministry explained that the government continues to work closely with relevant security agencies to sustain stability and restore normalcy within school environments nationwide. It further noted that the safe return of students and the successful conduct of examinations in several unity colleges underscore the government's resolve to keep learning on track despite prevailing challenges. You recall that the federal government had on November 21 ordered the immediate closure of 41 federal unity colleges over rising security concerns. The directive was issued through a circular dated November 21, 2025 from the Federal Ministry of Education. The circular asks principals of affected schools to enforce the closure without delay. The 41 unity schools are in the states across the Northwest, Northeast, North Central, and parts of the South. Moving on to the Senate, they have given its approval to a total of 64 nominees appointed for career and non-career ambassadorial roles after reviewing a report submitted by its Committee on Foreign Affairs. The endorsement followed the presentation of the committee's findings by its chairman, Senator Sani Bello, with lawmakers subsequently adopting the recommendations. During deliberations, however, Senator Sahabi Yao expressed concern over the absence of any nominee from Zamfara State in the list. He called on the Senate to formally draw the president's attention to the omission. Addressing the issue, the Senate president acknowledged the observation, noting that the list before the chamber was not exhaustive. He assured senators that the matter would be communicated to the president, adding that more ambassadorial nominees were expected and that Zamfara State would not be left out in subsequent appointments. The Federal High Court in Gwarinpa, Abuja, has granted bail to the former Minister of Labour and Productivity, Chris Ngige, in the ongoing alleged 2.2 billion naira contract fraud against him. Justice Marian Hassan, in granting Ngige bail, adopted the terms of administrative bail granted to him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. She also added that as part of the bail conditions, the defendant must produce one surety who is a director on the federal government's payroll and must have property in the FCT. Justice Hassan ordered Ngige to submit his travel documents to the courts, noting that bail is at the court's discretion and the conditions must not be unreasonable or unduly stringent. Hassan added that judicial powers must not be exercised arbitrarily and further adjourned the trial until 28th and 29th of January 2026. You do know that Ngige, who served as minister between November 11, 2015 and May 29, 2023, was arraigned last Friday on an 8-count charge bordering on abuse of office and contract fraud allegedly committed while overseeing activities linked to the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. He pleaded not guilty, however, to the charge, after which the court remanded him to the Kogi Correctional Center in Abuja, pending the determination of his application. Part of the allegations against him is that he accepted kickbacks from firms that were awarded the contracts, used his office to confer unfair advantages on associates by influencing contract awards. The offenses are punishable under various provisions of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. Opposing the bill request, the EFCC, through its team of lawyers led by Sylvanus Tahir, urged the court to decline the application. The delegation sent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the 11 released Nigerian Air Force personnel are expected back in Nigeria today. Well, VP News understands that after securing their release from Ibrahim Traore's Burkina Faso, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yusuf Toga, met with the 11 Nigerian Air Force personnel. They all took pictures together. The Nigerian Air Force personnel were released after 10 days of detention in the West African country following an emergency landing. Their release was confirmed on Wednesday night by the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimiebi Ebenfa. While Burkina Faso authorities, you would recall, had detained the military personnel after the Nigerian Air Force C-130 aircraft made an unscheduled landing in Bobo Dioulasso on December 8 following a technical issue shortly after departing Lagos en route to Portugal. Burkina Faso authorities initially held the aircraft and its crew over alleged airspace violations, describing the incident as a breach of sovereignty. Investigations by the Confederation of Sahel States and Burkina officials reportedly concluded that the aircraft lacked prior authorization to enter Burkina airspace. Following days of diplomatic engagement, President Tinubu dispatched a special envoy to Ouagadougou to engage the Burkina authorities. Halima Buhari, daughter of former President Muhammadu Buhari, has revealed that her late father was acutely aware that many Nigerians were disappointed with his administration. She spoke on Wednesday in Abuja at the Yaradua Center during the public presentation of a book, Headlines and Soundbites, Media Moments that Defined an Administration, authored by former Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed. The event drew former ministers, past governors, a sitting governor, governor, traditional rulers, and political leaders from the All Progressives Congress and the African Democratic Congress. Speaking at the event, Halima Buhari said her father understood that the huge hopes Nigerians placed in him were not fully realized, especially in the areas of security and economic management. She described leadership in Nigeria as far more complex than it appeared from the outside, shaped by difficult choices and constant pressure. Drawing from her experience as a close observer of power, she said the former president wrestled daily with the human consequences of governance. According to Halima, as reported recently, the gathering was not meant to impose a single verdict on Buhari's years in office. She said his legacy would rightly remain a subject of debate. Now, the Rivers State Governor Fubara has declared that he possesses strong grassroots structures and committed supporters to ensure full backing for President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 elections. Fubara stated that mobilization efforts for Tinubu are already about 70% complete across the state. Speaking during the commissioning of the 9.7-kilometer Ogbakiri Road project, the governor assured the national leadership of the APC of his robust grassroots network and loyal supporters. He said his confidence is further strengthened by the warm reception and support witnessed during project commissioning activities across various parts of the state. Fubara reminded citizens of their political responsibility following Wednesday's engagements with the APC national leadership and urged them to rally behind the president. Describing the Ogbakiri Road as a landmark project of his administration, he noted that it was initiated during one of the most challenging periods of his tenure. In a very recent development, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, younger brother to IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, has taken to his Facebook page to reveal that him and the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, Bishop Hassan Kuka, visited Kanu at Sokoto prisons. He said today Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka finally met with the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, at the Sokoto Correctional Center. Their conversations were mostly filled with laughter and extreme joy. He prayed alongside his team of faithfuls. Others said Kanu's case is purely political, assuring that politicians are actually more committed in crimes, grievous crimes, than all the vituperations listed by Nnamdi Kanu. Meanwhile, Maxwell Opara, a legal consultant and also one of the legal representatives defended Nnamdi Kanu during his trial while he was with the DSS, actually did an interview where he disclosed quite a lot that transpired in Kenya. He disclosed that the Kenyan authorities had planned to kill Nnamdi Kanu by locking him in a car and burning him alive. It was a junior officer who stopped that process. The questions Nigerians asked were who would have given the Kenyan authority to want to delete Nnamdi Kanu before he was brought to Nigeria. However, let's take a listen to him.
Somebody that was tortured for 7 days in Kenya, he told me that they have already brought car. That's why I'm looking at all those people that are attacking that young man. That young man is a different species. I must say it here. Nnamdi Kanu is not another. If you are chasing him, you are just chasing somebody that did not commit anything against you. He said that they have already brought a car, that they should put him inside the car, lock it and set the car ablaze. Whoa. There in Kenya, is only one police officer said no. The man said no, and the worst of it is that the police officer who was telling them no was the most, said no, that he will not be a party to this. This man is innocent.
That they must take him back to Nigeria.
That if the Nigeria are not coming to take him, that they will release him. That's why the then government send a private jet with the money. According to Nnamdi Kanu, I'm quoting Nnamdi Kanu what he told me.
Yes.
That the money, the cash, dollars they gave all those police officers. That's why from that place they sent him as Nnamdi Kanu straight to the tarmac. They brought him back here. But as I speak to you, his British passport is still in Kenya. I don't know whether you're going to say. His British passport is still in Kenya. The house where he was staying in Kenya is still under lock and key. His documents, everything is still in that place. Now they brought him here. I wish that you would make our time to read the judgment of Kenya. You see what Kenya court did to their own country. There is no name they did not call that attitude and awarded hundreds of millions of naira in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's favor. I don't know whether you know what I'm saying.
Yes. So what about the British? He is a British citizen and was carrying his British passport during that journey to Kenya. I think that should have been.
According to Nnamdi Kanu, one of the problems he's having is Britain. You know that, British government, those people, anything they're doing is their own selfish interest. They don't care
about their own citizen.
That is it. In the judgment they gave, one of the actions, I think that's the one the son and the wife fired. They wrote and said that they consider their relationship with Nigeria first before any other thing. It was in the judgment.
They prefer their relationship with Nigeria more than their own citizen.
Yes. Whoa. Because how dare you, your own citizen that was kidnapped in a foreign country, against all the relevant international laws, because extradition act made the procedure upon which somebody can be brought. The procedures are there, the laws are there. You must follow it. I give instance. All of us were here now. We saw an armed robber robbing in this police station, killing people, and the judge also witnessed it. And the police now came, arrest the armed robber straight to the judge, and the judge said, yes, I saw you when you are robbing. I hereby sentence you to death by hanging. That judgment will not stand. Ask me why.
All right, and that was Maxwell Opara giving details of what he said Nnamdi Kanu told him that almost happened to him while he was detained in Kenya and tortured for 7 days, almost burnt alive in a car. Meanwhile, the Federal Capital Territory High Court sitting in Abuja has dismissed the application for bail filed by a former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Justice Babangida Hassan delivered the ruling on Thursday, December 18, 2025, which is today. Malami, through his counsel, Dr. Sulaiman Hassan, had approached the court seeking bail from the custody of the EFCC. He argued that his detention by the anti-graft agency in connection with the ongoing investigation was illegal and unconstitutional. However, counsel to the EFCC Chief J.S. Okutekpa told the court that the commission was holding the former minister pursuant to a valid remand order. Okutekpa said the remand order was granted by another FCT High Court, presided over by Justice S.C. Oji. He further submitted that the EFCC was a law-abiding agency that would not detain any suspect beyond the period allowed by law without an order of court. In his ruling, Justice Hassan held that Malami was lawfully detained, relying, however, on the provisions of Section 35 of the Constitution and the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. The judge noted that the ACJA clearly provides for detention through a remand order issued by a competent court. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we're heading to a news analysis segment while we're joined via the telephone with Mr. Joseph Olorenshaw to kind of stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. I currently have Mr. Joseph Olorenshaw joining me via the telephone for the analysis segment. Mr. Joseph, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, and good evening to our esteemed listeners.
Thank you so much for taking your time to be part of the conversation this evening. Mr. Joseph, I don't know if you had listened to Mr. Maxwell Opara. He's one of the legal consultants to Nnamdi Kanu now, and also one of the defense team while Nnamdi Kanu's case, while he was in the DSS custody. And he said in a podcast very recently, or in an interview very recently, that Nnamdi Kanu told him that while he was apprehended in Kenya, he was tortured for 7 days, and that they wanted to lock him up in the car and burn him alive inside that car, and that they asked the question if the Kenyan authority had the audacity to do that. But it was quite a sordid detail, because was the Kenyan government supposed to do that? The lawyer said that it was one of the junior police officers who said he was not going to be part of this, that the man was innocent. If at all, they should take him to court rather than wanting to murder him. So is it possible that the whole escapade with him was for him to have been murdered in Kenya? What exactly could that have been? Again, that was what Nnamdi Kanu was telling Maxwell Opara. What's your take on that?
For me, if that kind of thing happens, it may not with the approval of the Kenyan government, because the government will be careful. So it's just like Nigeria. A lot of people can perpetrate a lot of action here, but because it happened in Nigeria, people can assume that government is aware. And again, it is an allegation now. I think the Kenya High Commission or Embassy will get the story now and relate back to the home country, so that they will respond. I think for me, it's still wait for their
Mr. Joseph, you need to put your mouth on your mic. Please put your mouth close to your phone. You're fading, so put your mouth close to your phone, please. Thank you. So you were saying
okay now?
Yes, it's better now. You said that the Kenyan government needs to dispute what Maxwell Opara said.
Yes, they need to respond to that.
Okay.
One, because we still have a lot of other countries who may have people who may have some political issue in their home country and decide to maybe be in Kenya. If at all they want to do any arrest, it has to be properly done. Even circumstances surrounding Nnamdi Kanu being brought to Nigeria since all this while, Kenya has a lot of explanation, but because of the former administration were a bit on the known of what had transpired, it's as if Kenya is being careful. But I think let's wait in the near future. I believe Kenya will respond appropriately, so that they equally clear, they actually clear their name, or irrespective whether they were involved or they were not involved. And again, if you look at the way the past administration were handled the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, there are a lot of I that were not dotted, a lot of T that were not crossed. And because of that, this new administration inherit the Nnamdi Kanu issue. But for me, I am not a lawyer, but I believe the president was not correctly advised. Because for me, a lot of people say that if you look at the issue between the government then and Sunday Buhari, then equally some frivolous charges against Showore, and at the end of the government decide that they have to forget about those issues and allow this very wonderful, respected individual to have their freedom.
Or do you think Nnamdi Kanu was exaggerating when he said that to Maxwell Opara? Because again, I played the interview, so it's not like the story is fabricated or somebody was just stretching stuff to a limit. This was what Maxwell Opara said Nnamdi Kanu told him. So the context of that exposure or disclosure, the context was maybe there was something underhand that had been planned, while he was apprehended in Kenya, and then maybe a different narrative would have been given in Nigeria. In other words, the junior officer that asked them not to do what they were supposed to do, or what was supposed to happen, if that junior officer had not interceded, then the whole story would have been a different thing altogether. And you don't think that would have possibly mutilated whatever diplomatic ties Nigeria has with Kenya if they had gone ahead to do that? Or do you think it was a secret plan by some persons to do that, and maybe explanations will come later?
Yes, I think to me, for every matter, for me, it's like three phases to every matter. The truth, your side, my side. So for me, let's wait for maybe Kenya government respond, because the Kenya government will investigate and possibly reach out to that junior officer who they say is the one that actually saved the situation, not to for them not to take Nnamdi Kanu life. So I think until when we hear from them, if we go with his brother's narrative or part, it may be that we may be look as if we are biased.
Okay.
So for me, let's wait for Kenya. I think what we in the media would need for us to ask Kenya government to respond to such that allegation.
All right, let's look at
that. I think let's equally wait.
All right, let's look at the confirmation of the 64 career and non-career ambassadors today by the Senate. Nigerians, a couple of Nigerians are still not happy with some names on that list. Persons like Reno Mokri, Femi Fani Kayode. But the thing is, they have been confirmed, and there is nothing anyone can do about it, whether they do not like it or not. And the Senate had said that before the screening, that nobody had written a petition to the Senate against this particular individuals. So they cannot work based on social media rants or social media lamentations or whatever. But however, there are discrepancies of thoughts concerning how the persons picked up by the president or nominated by the president as career and non-career ambassadors. A lot of Nigerians feel that the people presented are not the right persons to represent the country. What's your take with that? Will your take be on the president's perspective, or from how the people perceive the nominees that have been confirmed?
For me, the lawmaker actually proved to Nigeria that they only represent themselves. They did not represent Nigeria. These are some of those stories are not some story that Nigeria come by themselves social media. Nigeria were just quoting the statement of these guys, audio, print, video. Statement of these guys, their comment in the past, whether it is Fani Kayode, whether it's Reno, whether it is all of them. Nigeria were just trying to. They only go back to the internet and say, okay, this is what this person said before against our president now when he was not a president. This is what this guy said. So I don't think for the Senate to tell us that these are social media allegation. I think it just showed to us that Nigeria should be thinking that in 2027 we should be able to have people who will actually represent us. That when these are verified information in some of very reputable media houses.
All right.
So if they now say that those, it is not only social media, which means that they are not even sincere to themselves.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that some of those very, if I'm allowed to mention some media, TV, that these guys went there and see a lot of those statements that they are social media? It's not social media. It shows that the Senate or the lawmaker, let me put it that way, that they actually represent themselves. They did not represent Nigeria. I think that should be a lesson for us in going to 2027 election. We should, because the Senate or the lawmaker are like the HRO or in any democratic system. So if they themselves or like a referee in a football match, if they say an take side among the people that are playing the football or any of the game, then we have a very, very big issue, serious issue. So the lawmaker, I think they were just sharing fence with what is not correct. Nigeria were quoting these guys. Then secondly, the lawmaker are telling me now that they do not even understand what they mean by an ambassador. An ambassador of Nigeria to US is the Nigeria president there. An ambassador of Nigeria to Canada, to Japan, is Nigeria president there.
Okay.
So is it the individual that will now? It's as good as we are electing these people. It's as good as we're electing these guys. So, let's equally wait for some of those countries too, because we may send some of these individuals to some of those countries. They will tell them that what we saw in the social media and the internet, I don't think this person will allow him to be ambassador to represent. Look for another person.
Well, a couple of them could go delete some of their tweets if their tweets are not representing of someone who should unify the country rather than being divisive. I mean, Reno Mokri could go delete a lot of tweets that may have been quite controversial or that does not represent the personality he now embodies. What if that happens?
If you go and delete that temporary with evidence now, that again is an indictment on the individual, and it's equally an indictment on those who actually nominate them. And one thing that people should only know is that when we say the president, that is the reason Esther will only pray. I only tell people to only beg God that anytime you go give you opportunity for you to be in any position, pray that you have sincere, brilliant, excellent people around you. The president cannot be doing the list for an ambassador. He cannot be doing list for minister. He cannot be doing list for maybe pardoning of any convicted. It is the people who have from the office of the chief of staff.
Yes, they are the ones that actually compiled it. Yes.
So it just show for me. It just show for me that they decide to mess up the president. That let's help you to now check, verify what your chief of from your office, some of those things that your officer have done. Let's help you out. But they said they equally cave in. And again, one thing that you must know, Esther, is it may not be nobody will come up with and say there is evidence for now. But sometimes maybe handshake hand. And that's the reason. See some of all these things. They approve some of all this lists. But it's unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate.
All right, let's look at the Farouk Ahmed in Brooklyn with Dangote, Aliko Dangote. So, a Nigerian petroleum expert, engineer Kailani Mohammed, challenged the business mogul that he should disclose how he made his own money while he was in Port Harcourt in the 1980s. Mohammed actually made the remark while he was responding to Dangote's allegations against the chief executive officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, that is Farouk Ahmed. So, the oil expert is saying that Dangote should stop touching people personally in his efforts to monopolize the petroleum ministry. Do you think that Dangote is trying to monopolize the petroleum ministry? Because in less than 72 hours, Dangote made the disclosure about $5 million being paid as fees by this man, and in less than 72 hours, he actually resigned. Now, the funny thing is, these two individuals are from the same region, so nobody can say that it's because this person is from here and the presidency is from here. That's what happened. And for Dangote to have said this, some Nigerians feel that the presidency already had information about this guys. Secondly, you know that the NNPC has not been able to explain how 210 trillion naira escaped. They cannot make any form of confirmation as to where that money went. So it is hugely indicted. However, how do you respond to this? Do you think that Dangote wants to monopolize the petroleum industry so there is no competition like what happened with the Dangote cement? Is that what it is? Or he's actually been true and truthful with disclosing what he disclosed about the corruption and the rot in the system?
For me, I don't see what Dangote have done wrong. Alhaji Dangote is a risk taker. A lot of when Nigeria is facing all these challenges, even people from our own level, many people were jackpotting. Let me use that word. They were running out of the country. The business environment in Nigeria have been so hostile. But Dangote was just doing everything possible to swim on the troubled water. So I don't. If you now say because he's able to stay and the troubled water and stance say it's a monopoly, then we need more people like Dangote to be able to stay here and do that and do issue of monopoly. And secondly, I think God is equally trying to answer Nigeria prayer, because some of these big men, it is their fight that will actually liberate us. So what we need to be praying seriously, that we need more fight from the upper level. We need more of their fight, so that some of the truth will be coming up. We now know some of those individuals that have been troubling Nigeria, because the Farouk agent is supposed to be there to regulate what is going on in that sector. But you know, there was a report then when they come up with some fake fuel, and at the end of the day, this is an organization that did not even have a they only for them to test the quality of some of the product. They used to go to their consultant. You saying that they don't have money to build a lab that will be able to, that even people, other countries can be coming to Nigeria to come and test their product, to know the quality of their product. So for me, I think if Dangote say that he has evidence, let them, if you see Dangote have done something, let take Dangote to call for defamation of his or her, of his character. And for me, his resignation again, it's good that it's unfortunate that he started the fight first. So he did not select his fight very well.
You mean Farouk
And again,
Ahmed or
it's possible that-
Dangote?
yes, he did not select the fight very well because you know that Dangote is a strong man. I'm sorry to use this word. It's a strong man. But I equally look at it that it's equally there for us because he has been trying to help us out. Then when you now compare with the issue of cement, monopoly, what is going on in the cement industry, I don't think it's not actually the one. It is some of the elements in government that actually do. Because, for example, he has company in Kogi, in some other, I think, Cross River, and some other places. If you see the kind of taxes, the kind of levy that this man is paying to various government before he can actually have access to some of those raw material, then he need to break even. So if government want the cost of cement to reduce, there is a way that they can crowd out some of his expenses so that they can now say, okay, in terms of logistics, Dangote will be assisting you. We are giving you some, at the state level, we'll give you some tax waiver so that the product can be available in those states at a very, very good price. You know, there was a time that Dangote and the former governor of Kogi were equally fighting.
Yes.
That's the White Lion, Yaya Bello. So you cannot be creating a very, very toxic environment, and this man is still struggling in that environment to be in business. You now say that you should give you a product that is very, very cheap. It's a bit very, very difficult. And again, are we saying that if you know the cost of yam because of some food products are very expensive, occasioned by some insecurity that insecurity in Nigeria that did not allow the farmers to go to farmers. So are you now saying that some of those farmers that take that risk to plant yam and harvest it, they will now be selling it at a very low price? There are some farmers pay for security for the security of their farmland. These are money from this is serious money, so they need to find a way to equally get their money back. So you can't tag that as a monopoly. If you are saying Dangote is operating a monopoly, well, it depends on your own understanding. But this man is trying seriously.
All right.
For me, just allow him to reap from where he has been sowing.
Well, that's what the engineer is claiming. I guess these are supporters of Farouk Ahmed. So the gunmen who attacked the First Ekwa Church and the Apostolic Church in Ayetoro Kiri, Kaba, Bunu, Kogi State on Sunday, on December 14, they have contacted the community. They are demanding a ransom of 600 million naira. So the assaults took place on Sunday, as you know, targeted the First Ekwa Church and the Apostolic Church. According to the sources in the community, the attackers made contact with residents on December 15, stating that they wanted to negotiate directly with the government. So on December 16, they demanded a ransom of 600 million naira, issuing an ultimatum to the victims' families and warning of severe consequences if the demand was not met. And the Nigerian government is stepping up or ramping up its efforts to stop the consistent attacks of these terrorists. However, they seem to be brazen in quite some instances. Now they seem to want to also dare the government. This is just at the same time where the unity schools have been asked to reopen, especially in the states most affected by insecurity. Do you think that the Nigerian government will respond quickly to these demands like they did with the girls? Or are we going to see some...
I think for me, that money, they should ask our very, very respected and distinguished IGP to pay that money and get those guys out. Let him use, yes, they should. Because for Esther, I've been saying it in many places. The police are in charge of our internal security according to the constitution. That every time something happens, we call the military. The military is actually an aberration. The military is supposed to just be giving some backing to what the police are doing. As I'm talking to you now, the only thing that the police feel that is the problem of Nigeria is tinted glass. That they are saying that whether court or no court, court did not ask them. And the tinted glass is not something that they are saying people are getting it free. There are issues for the Nigeria police to do. But I think that the IGP is just enjoying himself. And the only thing is that maybe he's not aware of the story of that Kwacho, the kidnapping. And that is the reason we're moving all his team and say, okay, early next year is going to be issue of tinted glass. So that money that they are asking for, let our IGP pay the money and get those guys out. Because for me, It's just as if the man is just enjoying himself, and since nobody questioned him, that issue of internal security, that is your number one area of focus, you completely leave it. If you look at Tintega that is focused on, Esther, Tintega have 3 levels. We have the one that could be medically related, people that have some issue. Then we have the factory, which he have to enter serious synergy with custom.
Yeah.
That any car that is entering Nigeria, issue of the tinted, they take care of it. The person that when they are clearing it, they take care of that. So that when you buy a car with tinted glass, you will just say that you don't need to face any police harassment or intimidation. There's equally the one that they do in Nigeria, very dark. So what he would have done is for him to relate with those people that are in charge of that in Nigeria and say, okay, what can we do to ensure that this tinted guy? So, but Esther, you know that in a casino, children were kidnapped using a bike. Are those bikes tinted? That's the question. Those bikes that they used to carry children from school, are they tinted bike? So for me, it's as if we allow our Oga for our first headquarters to be enjoying themselves there, and they will begin to be chasing a lot of things. And I will appeal to the president. Yes, the man have tried. He has tried. I believe that there are still some other wonderful, distinguished, brilliant individual in the police that can still do this job. He has tried, seriously. He has tried, and to some extent, anytime when you exert all your energy, you exert all your skill, all your knowledge, it's only time that you just buy out. You just quietly buy out. Because kidnapping, almost every time, you will not see the seriousness from first headquarters to face that and say, this is our own primary responsibility. They are happy because all of us, ignorant, military. Me, I've never said military because Nigerian military are wonderful. Nigerian military are honest. But we give them the job that does not belong to them, started blaming them.
Did you say Nigerian military are wonderful and that they are honest? Did you say that?
They are wonderful. Don't you see the action in Benin Republic? Don't you see the action in Benin Republic when they...
Maybe you can say those who actually manifest their duty. But if you speak about the management, there are talks that the Nigerian military is heavily politicized.
No. It's only the politicians. It's politicians that if you threaten them, if you allow them, I have a lot of guys in the military. They will tell you that do you know that this, whether the bandit, whether the Boko Haram and just Lakora, or just name them, keep Nigerian military in the barracks. Tell mobile police, give them the political support that the mobile police will wipe those guys out within 2 weeks. Nigerian mobile police that I know, they have the capacity to deal with all these guys that are terrorizing us. But the challenge that we have is the politicians. Some of the politicians feel that this is a business, so they will not allow this thing to stop. So that money, Esther, that money, I am requesting that let our IGP pay that money and get those worship out of the hand of the kidnappers.
They should get them out of captivity. Mr.
Yes,
Joseph,
he can do it. Let him go and pay that money.
Mr. Joseph Olorisho, thank you so much. Actually, I sincerely do appreciate you giving us your insight into some of the stories read out on the World News at 6.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. And just before we go, let's look at stories outside the shores of Nigeria. Volodymyr Zelensky has called on EU leaders at a crunch summit urgently to agree to a multi-billion euro loan in frozen Russian money to fund Ukraine's military and economic needs. Ukraine is months from running out of cash, and Zelensky said without an injection by spring, Ukraine will have to reduce production of drones. Most of Russia's 210 billion euros worth of assets in the EU are held by a Belgian-based organization, Euroclear. Until now, Belgium and some of other member states have yet to oppose to using the cash as reparation loan. Russia has warned EU leaders not to use its money, but Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said they had to rise to this occasion. The Brussels summit comes at a pivotal moment in the war, and Russia has filed a lawsuit against Euroclear in a Moscow court in a bid to get its money back. Zelensky and Ukraine are definitely facing a 45 to 50 billion euro deficit next year, and European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen vowed we will not leave the summit without a solution. European government officials described being cautiously optimistic but not overly optimistic that a deal would be agreed. All eyes are on Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever, who told the Belgian Parliament on Thursday that if everything was nailed down and shared by the rest of the EU, then they'll jump into the abyss together with the rest of the Europeans and hope the parachute holds them together. That's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Machuku. Good evening and thank you for listening. Up next is the Evening Rush, which we're holding on here precisely by 7 o'clock, and my analyst will Barrister Darlington this special Thursday evening. To have yourself a wonderful day. See you later.